Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, today we have Sam Nicholson. He's the new head men's basketball coach, Dakota Wesleyan University Tigers. And boy, Sam Nicholson is excited. Well, let's take a listen. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Cascade Hoops Talk, produced in the shadow of the beautiful Cascade Mountains and bringing the world NAIA basketball. One podcast at a time. So Sam Nicholson is a younger coach. This isn't first head coaching position. He's been at Dakota Wesleyan 2-3 years, I think. He was over at Dakota State prior to that. He kind of cut his teeth at while he was a student student assisting or graduate assisting at the University of South Dakota. He'll give you his background. If I try to give it to you right now, I'll probably mess it up. But he's really excited about being able to coach there in the Corn Palace as any human being would be. It's really interesting. He'll tell you stories about hearing stories about Dakota Wesleyan pretty much all throughout his career. You know, it's a storied program. And he is just so excited to take the reins there and get going and compete in that GPAC. Let's take a listen to Sam Nicholson, the new head men's basketball coach, Dakota Wesleyan University, the Tigers. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. I got Sam Nicholson on the phone. He's the new head men's basketball coach, Dakota Wesleyan University Tigers. How you doing, Coach? Thanks for being on the show.
Great, Bill. I can't thank you enough for having me on.
Oh, no, I'm excited to get you on. It's, Dakota Wesleyan is one of those teams across the country that it seems like everybody, regardless of whether they're having an up year or a down year, everybody knows who Dakota Wesleyan is. It's there in Mitchell with the world famous Corn Palace. Ty Hoagland brought a lot of attention to the basketball program a few years back. It's just a program that's always had a story behind it. Talk about what it means to be the new head coach of the Dakota Wesleyan Tigers.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up how everyone knows about it. You know, I started my coaching journey. I was a student assistant at the University of South Dakota. I joke with people, like, when you see me in person, you know I wasn't a basketball player.
Yeah.
So that was my route into it. And while I was at that Division I University of South Dakota, we were constantly hearing about Dakota Wesleyan and the community and the support and all the things that go with being a part of the basketball program there. And that always stuck in my mind, you know. And then it's just a place I knew that I could see myself. And then I went and I was a graduate assistant for Matt Fletcher over at Concordia St. Paul. He's done a great job getting that program going in the NSIC. And after that, I took an assistant job at Dakota State under legendary coach Gary Garner, and I was with him for 1 year. And when that coaching change happened, you know, I was a little worn out of the rat race of trying to get where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So I moved back home outside of Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm originally from. And I remember telling my dad, like, if it's not the right one, like I didn't feel like my heart was in it, so to speak. And when Matt Wilbur called me, I mean, like I jumped out of my chair. You know, I joke with people. He was like, well, when could you come up and interview? And I was like, right now. And then I spent the day with him, and he asked me if I accepted the job when I could be there. And I was like, let me go get my stuff. I'll be back tomorrow. You know, like I was just so excited from the very first day I stepped on campus to be there just as an assistant. And now to have the opportunity to be the head coach there, it's something really special to me. And it's a place that feels like home. I was very confident that it would when I moved there. You know, it's similar to where I grew up and staying in the Midwest. And now that I'm going into year 3 at the program and year 1 as the head coach, it just truly does feel like home, and I can't wait to get rolling.
Wow, that's a really, really cool story. It's I was thinking while you were talking, everybody has a Dakota Wesleyan story. Everybody, mm-hmm. You know, Brevin Slope, a friend of mine who played at Concordia, he was a really big playoff game. I think it was for the GPAC title. And he told me the story of standing at the free throw line there in the Corn Palace, and it gets pretty crazy. And
Oh yeah.
he looked up at the rim, and it was shaking. I'll never forget that story. But I mean, everybody has a Corn Palace story. I remember seeing Ty Hoagland on a local news broadcast. So I saw a video of it, and he was telling people, he said, I'm going to go out in the street right now and grab people. Everybody needs to get to the Corn Palace. I'm going to go to the street, up and down the street, and pick up people and have them come down. It's just that kind of an atmosphere, isn't it?
It is. We're in kind of a niche location where we're in a town of 15,000 people, so it's a decent size. But there's a ton of communities that are much, much smaller that are around us. We kind of work like a mini metropolitan. So a Wednesday night or a Saturday afternoon, people are just flocking there. And we're far enough from Sioux Falls. We're about an hour from Sioux Falls, so we're far enough that people would rather come watch us in a 10 to 15 minute drive than make their way over to some of the bigger institutions in the state.
So you grew up probably closest to NAIA school to where you grew up was what, Baker?
So Dana College was in my hometown, Blair, Nebraska.
Okay.
They closed when I was in about 6th or 7th grade, I want to say. So then you're looking at Midland, out of Fremont.
Oh, that's right, Midlands and Fremont.
Closest. Yep.
So growing up, did you have any kind of an impression about what this GPAC, this NAIA basketball was all about?
I think there's a unique deal where in South Dakota we are held as such a high regard. In Nebraska, I think it gets overlooked way too much. So I wasn't familiar with the level of play. The first time I really got a grasp of it was when Dakota Wesleyan came to University of South Dakota, and I was a student manager. And I was like, man, these guys can play. And that's when I really started considering it and taking a hard look at, hey, this could be right for me. And I've found that, the transfer portal's going crazy, NIL's going crazy. But I love the transformational piece that we still have. I think specifically in the GPAC conference, just because of when we scholarship guys, we're looking at keeping them for 4 years, and the transfer portal, we don't have as much of an advantage in. So I've fallen in love with the GPAC and the ability to recruit a guy, graduate guy, go to their wedding. That's what it's all about for me. And that's what we have the luxury of still being able to do.
So you grew up in Blair, just north of Omaha there, and you went to school at University of South Dakota, and that's where you kind of got the basketball bug, isn't it? Weren't you a student assistant there?
Yep. So when I was coming out of high school, I got hurt my senior year, couldn't play, but Coach Whitwer at Blair, he let me help with the freshman team, and we were on a bus going home from Crete, Nebraska, and I remember kind of picking his brain, like, I can make this a full-time job. I could really make this a career. So at that point, I called University of Nebraska and University of South Dakota, and was just trying to see what it would look like, telling them how invested I wanted to be. And thankfully, Craig Smith had been the assistant at Nebraska, so he gets the job at South Dakota. The director of operations he hired was Monty Ritchie, who happened to be a manager at Nebraska.
Okay.
So I got connected with him, and he was like, hey, man, if you come here, you're going to travel all 4 years. You're going to be able to help with scouts. You're going to do all the logistics. Like, you're going to be a pivotal part. And that really sold it to me. So I got to be with Coach Smith and Gamaliel Halegba and Eric Peterson, who's the current head coach there now, and Austin Hansen. And they were such great mentors to me. I talk about student managers. I've got a real soft spot for them, but the respect that they gave me and the opportunities that they gave me to actually be hands-on, I can't thank them enough. And every single day I was like, hey, I can do this. This is cool. Like like you said, the bug, like, it just kept getting me more and more every single day.
Well, that's a pretty interesting story. When did you, after you left South Dakota, when did you get your first job outside of you going to school? So
Yeah,
you went
so
to school
I
at South Dakota, right?
yep. I was at South Dakota from 20 to 25. My last year, I did the full-time student teaching deal.
Okay.
So I was kind of in the background of the basketball program, but was still pretty like I was at all the games. I just couldn't be there day to day. And when I graduated, I went to Concordia St. Paul and got my
Oh,
master's and was a
yeah.
graduate assistant there for Coach Fletcher.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and then you finish up your masters and you're nervous as heck and you're looking for that first full-time gig. And I met Gary Garner in Marshall, Minnesota at a Hy-Vee, and we ate lunch and he interviewed me there, and that's how I was ended up at Dakota
At
State for my
Dakota
first
State.
full-time assistant job.
Wow. That's a heck of a story, Sam.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. So from getting hurt in high school to the head men's basketball coach at Dakota Wesleyan. I love that. Hey,
Yep.
let's talk a little bit about the Tigers. So obviously you're still putting your team together. You've been out recruiting. Talk about the type of team you're trying to build. What kind of guy are you recruiting? What do you want to look like this season?
Yeah, I think we want to be fast, and that plays into the roster we have in place. I know that we're going to have to speed people up, and we're going to have to score at a high rate. So in recruiting, we really put a focus on trying to get length, and in the GPAC historically, the best five men they're only 6'6" or so.
Right.
So we're not having to go look for monsters at the rim, but we're just trying to get a little longer at every position as we continue forward, and still be able to maintain our speed and pace that we're looking to do.
And then you're competing there. Obviously, you're in the GPAC. You've been around the GPAC now for a few years. Just that is a brutal conference. Every year, 7 teams tie for first place. It happens. I'm exaggerating, but it is probably one of the most competitive conferences in the country.
hmm I've been on both sides of it where you're in a conference and you're like, hey, this is going to be an easy one, or you're like, hey, we have no chance. And in the GPAC, it you can't go either way. Every single night, you got to go out and perform. You have to be focused, and your team's got to be together because we do play in what I would consider some of the most hostile environments in the NAIA. So, like I said, it's any given night, anybody could end up coming out on top.
Yeah, I haven't been to very many of the gyms. I've been to Northwestern for a game. That is a tough environment. And then I've been over to Dort, but I didn't get into a game. But obviously that gym is kind of kind of world famous for being really tough. I talked to some
Yep.
women who played there a couple of years ago, and I asked them about playing in that gym, and they just kind of shook their head like, yeah, that was. What is it about Dort? Everybody
You
talks
know,
about how tough it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they pack it and their fans are great, but I'm gonna say that it's the roof. It's kind of got
Yeah,
that
yeah.
barrel shaped roof, and I just don't think there's anywhere for that sound to go. And like I said, they pack them in there, and it's hard to talk to the guy next to you, let alone relay stuff to the court.
And it feels, I don't think it's dark, but I've been in the gym. It feels dark in there. I don't know what
Yeah,
it
I
is. It
mean,
gives a different feel.
well, I think we're just so used to you got the gym lighting and then you got a white ceiling. And in there
Oh,
they've got that wooden ceiling, so I think there's a little less reflection coming down.
yeah, yeah. So, you look forward to this season. Uh, the the Tigers had a really good year last year. I think 20-10. You came within an eyelash of knocking off the Masters on their court in the first round of the playoffs. What do you hope to accomplish with the Tigers this season?
Yeah, I a lot of people talk about how much we've lost, and we did lose four really, really good starters for us. But I just keep thinking back to this class that is now juniors. When they were recruited, there was a buzz, and they were highly talented, and they're highly recruited. And we've had a lot of talks since the season ended last year. Like, you're going to hear people saying we're in a rebuild, and in our minds, it's a reload. We've had guys sitting on the bench, and they're ready for the opportunity to step up. And I just challenge them to have ultimate ownership every day. We talk about the summer and how much they can accomplish, and the buy-in has been absolutely incredible between our varsity and JV program. I mean, there were days that we had 26 guys in the gym. And so I know the guys are bought in. I know they see that there's an opportunity for a lot of new faces to step up. And there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to be able to put a very, very competitive and successful team on the floor.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the Tigers this season. As a fan, Sam, I doubt if you've looked ahead at all, but as a fan, I'm kind of looking ahead a little bit. You can't do that. You're a coach. I'm looking ahead a little bit. This, I think you call it the Battle of the Blue. You got to go over to Madison on December 2nd. With your history and then with Williamson's history, I think that might be an interesting contest.
Yeah, I mean, that's one that you really don't have to say much to the guys, I do think there's a lot of respect there, but we're also competitors.
Yeah.
And like you said, I've coached in that gym, and I know that they get up for this game specifically. So we're willing to go up there and just go to battle. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be really fun for the fans. Sorry, how excited are you to get this thing going? You kick it off. I think you kick off like the 28th or October 28th.
Yep. Yeah, I'm like, you can't really put it into words. There's a sense of calmness with the excitement, just because you know how much you have to do in the job, right?
Yeah.
Being a first-year head coach, I'm constantly reflecting every day. Okay, next year we're going to do this different. I'm going to tweak this. I really liked this.
Yep.
So there's a ton of excitement, but there's a strange feeling of calmness and focus of, hey, like, now's our opportunity. Let's get this going.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I can't wait till the season to get going. For whatever reason, a few years back, I just kind of fell in love with GPAC basketball. I think everybody knows that. I'm going to go out to Indiana early in the season, and a couple teams from Sioux City are coming out, Morningside and Briarcliff. You might have heard of them. Going to play up at Grace and Huntington, so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to cover that tournament. Sam, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you giving us a few minutes, introducing yourself to all the fans. I want to thank you very much.
Of course, and I can't thank you enough for your coverage of the NAIA and the GPAC. And if you're making your way back from Indiana and want to swing by the Corn Palace, we'd love to have you.
Oh, that's on my bucket list. I keep telling my wife that I got to get to the Corn Palace. That's definitely on my bucket list. I just don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but yes, definitely. Awesome. We'll get you back on when the season gets going. Like to do post-game interviews. I got your cell number, reach out to you after a big win, but we'll get you back on at some point this season and talk about Dakota Wesleyan Tiger basketball. How's that sound?
Sounds great, Bill. Thank you so much.
That's Sam Nicholson. He's the head men's basketball coach, Dakota Wesleyan Tigers. Thank you, Sam.
Yep, thank you. Go Tigers.
There you go. Hey, thanks a lot to Sam Nicholson and also to Dakota Wesleyan University. Nice young man. Loved his history. I like how excited he is. What an honor to be able to coach there in the Corn Palace. It's great to see him get this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to basketball. I don't know about you guys. I talked to all these different coaches. I just can't wait to see him in action. Hey, join us back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Tell your friends about Cascade Hoops Talk, and we'll see you again on Monday. Thank you. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.